This is a Volkswagen T-Roc and it is a direct import into the country. So its price might seem a bit excessive compared to its size. It sits between the Kia Seltos and Hyundai Creta at one end and the Jeep Compass at the other end. Does it have what it takes to be in between these two ends? That is what we are going to find out today. So, the T-Roc. There is so much in my head about this car, and not only in terms of how it is to drive and what exactly it feels like as a package, but several other things as well. Now, because this is a proper Euro spec car, it has its shortcomings, but there are quite a few positives as well. So in a portfolio of cars that looks a bit dated now because the mass segment cars are Vento and the Polo and they are ancient almost, the T-Roc comes in as a breath of fresh air really for Volkswagen. In fact, I like its design so much that I can unashamedly say that this is possibly the best looking crossover in its global portfolio. And it is also one of the 2 or 3 best looking cars that Volkswagen currently makes. It's got good compact dimensions, yet there is sufficient space inside. Yes, 2 tall people definitely will find it tough to sit comfortably one behind the other, but at least the seats are good. But having said that, the T-Roc is strictly a 4-seater. The transmission tunnel, it runs quite high, and even if it did have a flat floor, I think the outright management of space isn't something that is going to make for a pleasing experience. So yeah, just avoid sitting in the middle because that is going to be a very uncomfortable experience for whoever is there. Volkswagen may advertise that the T-Roc may have a lot of SUV-ness to it, but that's really all hogwash. It's got a great amount of big hatchback feel and attitude, and you know what, I think that's not such a bad thing at all. None of the cars in the compact crossover or SUV space can hold their SUV advertising credentials the moment they are shown a patch of marsh or some really broken roads. So there is no shame really in accepting that these kind of cars are simply high up the ground hatchbacks which give you a bit of an authoritative driving feel on the road. And the way things are going, everyone is going to be driving tall hatchbacks that masquerade as SUVs. So then, other body types like hatchbacks or fastbacks and saloons, those will start getting noticed a lot more, and hopefully their popularity is going to rise. I'm an eternal optimist for that. Okay, so the T-Roc, fantastic design, as I said. Good solid lines all over, no unnecessary flamboyance at all. It's the typical example that proves that simple can also be beautiful. It's got a strong front end with very nicely done LED DRLs which develop as indicators, and it's got a good looking hatch as well. So in all, it is very pleasing to the eye. The interiors, well, it's all pretty straightforward in here, but crucially, it's done properly and all the controls are intuitively placed. The quality seems good, so yeah, it's not a bad place to be at all. Yes, the dash has a feel of basic plastic, but it's of good quality and it does not even cause a great amount of reflection into the windscreen. So in harsh sunlight, it's not really going to be a bother at all. Features, yeah, and this is where Volkswagen cannot hold a candle to its Korean rivals, which are also a lot cheaper. There is no wireless charging. In fact, instead you get these two USB slots over here, and well, truth be told, a bit cumbersome to use because you have to struggle a bit around the gear lever, and when you're done with slotting the USB into place, it just looks depressing that the wire is shoutingly visible despite your best efforts to hide the phone into the deep storage cave that you have in front of the gear lever. And there's no electric adjustment for the seats as well. In fact, to recline the seat, you get a circular manual controller, and that is despite all the tech and electric power making seat adjustment simpler and a bit of a convenience. This is simpler than that, and it's also a bit old school. So yeah, I think there is a sense of uniqueness to it, especially in these times, and it just brought a smile to my face. So yeah, despite of it not being electric, I don't mind these manual controls to be a bother at all. But above all, I don't get the sense of heated seats. And well, this is a Euro spec car, so I am going to ignore it in this one. But any manufacturer, even assembling in India, if they offer heated seats, I think they should just leave, because they do not understand the Indian market. What we need are cooled and ventilated seats, not heated seats. So yes, in this one, again, as I said, I can definitely ignore it because it's a direct import, but we desperately need to learn from the likes of Kia and Hyundai. Anyway, otherwise the cabin feels reasonably good, very acceptable in terms of its practicality, and even the door pockets are pretty spacious, so that's all good. There's good tech for connectivity as well. You get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, then it has lane keep assist, it gets 6 airbags, and it also has anti-skid regulations. So yeah, typical things that you would expect from a direct Euro import. I approached the T-Roc initially with a bit of reluctance for its 1.5 litre direct injection turbo engine. I thought it would be insufficient and lacking in heart. But this 150 bhp and 250 Newton meter turbo petrol engine, it does well in this car actually, and there is a good spread of torque between say 1800 to 3000 rpm, and the T-Roc does not mind being revved to the north side of 4 to even 5000 rpm. It has even got cylinder deactivation technology, so you can just save a little bit of fuel over there. And paired with this engine is what we have come to appreciate immensely. That is the 7-speed DSG gearbox. It makes for an enjoyable drive, very smooth. The shifts are snappy, and they happen pretty much exactly where you want them to. And the paddles over here, they give you all the control that you want when you're going up or down the gearbox. So yeah, this gearbox cannot be faulted at all. So yes, this engine gearbox combination is really not all that bad. It may not give you that neck snapping kind of a response on throttle, but it builds space at a reasonable rate. The seating position is superbly natural. The steering wheel feels great to hold, and it's fairly responsive as well. It's set up pretty properly. The turn-ins are nice and crisp. There is good amount of feedback, and it's very well weighted. It does not feel artificial like some other crossovers can do. So yeah, properly enjoyable system over here. But the crucial thing with the T-Roc is that it can be a greatly enjoyable experience from behind the wheel. And the chassis is nice and tight, and there is a great sense of lateral rigidity. It drives on 215/55 R17s. So yes, while the tires are large and they hamper the ride quality, all that is offset by the way the T-Roc handles. For a crossover, this car handles brilliantly. It stays almost flat and superbly planted on good roads, but come even a blemish and you will feel it. The suspension is definitely stiff, and I'm not going to go to the extent to say that you cannot live with it, but I would have definitely wanted a bit more give from the springs. But the big downside of the stiff suspension is not even the spoiled ride quality. It's that over time, things are going to start rattling and squeaking in here. In fact, they're rattling and squeaking right now. Probably you can hear it as well. So yes, that is definitely going to become an annoyance over time. I've been driving the T-Roc for well over a week now, and the more I drive it, the more I like it, and I have now started to realize its true appeal. And that is why I cannot help but imagine how amazing it would have been if Volkswagen would manufacture the T-Roc in India. Just give it some basic suspension job, higher profile tires on 16-inch wheels, and maybe, just maybe, a couple of more features. That would make it a lot cheaper than its current ex-showroom price of 20 lakh rupees. And that is also going to make it a thinking person's Seltos or Creta. It would make for a great purchase for someone who is beyond the norm and beyond the obvious. Its shape is interesting, the fundamentals are all perfectly good, if only it were cheaper. This could have done to Volkswagen what the Vento could not. And that is what really pinches me. A great opportunity, perhaps lost.